Hi, guys. Welcome to ChalkTalk Wednesdays with Coach Cambell, Coach Larry, Coach JT. Tonight is the night we answer questions, and I think Campbell has some for us.
I do. So, welcome everybody. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Wednesday. My first question I have for coaches Larry and JT tonight is, what does inspiring change mean to you as a coach?
See, I'm waiting for him, and he's waiting for me, but I'll go ahead.
Go
So,
ahead.
I think the greatest thing about a coach is that he inspires an athlete to do more, to be more, to realize this potential. You see, potential is stored energy. It hasn't actually been used. It's always there. Energy's never been created or destroyed. It's always there. But this potential lies in everybody. And I believe there's an unlimited storage of potential inside each one of us. And a good coach can come in and see that stored energy and help it find its way out. When it finds its way out, you get a confident, productive athlete and a confident, productive person. And if I were to say, what do if I was to answer that question, that's exactly how I would answer it. Inspiring change via a coach is seeing that potential energy and finding a way to bring it out of somebody.
I agree with that. I believe that a coach can look at a player and maybe they say they're a shortstop, but really they're a left fielder, or they're a second baseman and they're a right fielder, or they're a pitcher. You don't know that. You watch them as a coach. You watch that player, and like you said, you always hear that analogy. You got every little bit of athletic ability from that player, and you pushed him and you pulled him in the right direction, and you led him to succeed. And once it succeed, man, you got that kid forever. And like you say, Coach, with the kid you had that now owns all the Cinnabons. I mean, you he thought he was playing this, and in reality, he was playing that, and he's playing the outfield, and that right there might have just catapulted him for life, like you said, for his career outside of baseball. And he tried to get his first company, and then it went from one to two to three. Because you know what, you showed success on the field, and now he's successful in his professional career too as well. So yeah, I just look at an athlete, and as a coach, you just try to find out every little bit of athletic ability from that kid.
Yeah, and I like what you said there, Coach, when you mentioned being connected with them, because I think that's part of the inspiring. When you get personally involved with your athletes and create a true, honest connection, you're now tapping into that potential energy, and then they can lean on you and you can lean on them, and what it becomes is more fuel for the fire. And when you can do that with an entire group of kids, of athletes, you're changing lives at that point. It's not just about playing better on the field. It's about playing better in life.
Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, and I think um, that's great. And I just, before we were on this call, we were talking about some examples of how you guys might have helped out at Ellsworth or how Deanne Sanders is helping out at CU. Can you guys elaborate on that and tell our listeners about how you were able to inspire change?
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily that we have the full result yet, but what we noticed in the game immediately following the day we came to practice is those girls played inspired softball, and they whooped up on a four-year university, which is not typically what they do. And did we have a part in that? I would say yes. I would say absolutely yes, because we went in there and we looked at those girls and we assessed their swings and we didn't judge them. We said, wow, wow, you girls are hitting cover off the ball. We're just going to help you a little bit. We're just going to show you a few things. It's just little tiny things that are difference between 6 runs and 13 runs, 2 runs and 5 runs. Little tiny things, and mostly, like I've written in several of my books, it's about the coach believing in you as the player. And we went in there. It was not the environment that we expected it to be, but it was so much better. It was so much better. It was such a great learning lesson for us, as well as it was great to connect with and be a part of those girls, hopefully for the next 4 to 6 weeks, as we're taking them through our hitting progressions and helping them become, bring all that potential energy out of them.
It's the mindset of changing the culture. They've gone this way for so long, and we came in there and we did little things different. They may be doing the same thing at the coaching staff as well too, but different verbiage, different language, different voices are telling these players how to do it could change their mindset, and then they could do the way we are talking about, and they be successful. Like same with Deion Sanders. He came into a program at CU that was losing every single year, and he needed to change the culture, and he did that like that. I mean, quicker than anything else. And he brought people to come in. He brought celebrities. He brought actors. I mean, he brought everybody into that program that can bring culture to these guys. That you guys are winners. And every year they've gone up in wins, and every year they've gotten better with players and coaching staff and so forth like that. So it's about changing the culture and changing things up with what you're doing inside that program. So yeah, and you see most coaches do that right now at the next level. I mean, it's very hard to go from college to the NFL, and it's very hard to go from the NFL to college. And you see that right now with Bill Belichick. I mean, it's just hard to do because these kids you have to teach. You have to learn how they teach these kids and how to make how they drive and how they do their own thing in the NFL and in the MLB. They're already pros. You just watch them, and you may say something here or say something there. But with college, you have to be embedded into their lives because they're still so young. They're 18 years old, 19 years old. They're kids. So yeah, you definitely have to change that culture and be part of their lives.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, Larry. And I want to ask Campbell a question here because I've run into this, and this is what coaches run into all the time. So at Ellsworth, they're great coaches. I'm not saying they're not, but what happens is if if you sort of start to lose the team a little bit, what happens is that energy starts to go back down and get stored in them instead of coming out every day. And so you bring somebody in. That's why you bring in a motivational speaker. And at Ellsworth, they bring in motivational guys every year. That's one of the things that they do. And it's great to come in there and do that. Um, it can become hard for a coach, even harder for a parent to continue to inspire their kids. And I think the best way to continually inspire your kids is to utilize all of your potential. So if I'm a dad, which I am, I'm every day striving to exceed whatever I did yesterday. And hopefully by doing that, I'm inspiring my daughters to do that same thing. And this is my question, Campbell. Can a dad be an effective coach? And feel free to be 100% honest and tell us from you as a child of somebody who's been coaching your entire life. How do you see me and how do you see this? And you can be really real here.
I think it just depends on your child's emotional maturity, um, and then being able to take a step back and realize that like you have a lot of knowledge to give, and you're someone who is a very good person to learn from, like I can give two examples here because me and then my younger sister, who was on the podcast on Monday, Miley, we have two very different personalities. And for a long time, I was not coachable. And whatever JT would tell me, I would just roll my eyes and not listen to it. But when I sat back and was able to like look at him from a point of, oh wow, this is someone who actually has a lot of knowledge for things that are very important to me as a person or as a coach. Um, I was able to step back and be like, okay, so this is someone who I need to listen to. This is someone who I need to learn from. And this is someone who I need to look at as a coach and not just as my dad. And I guess I look at you as like two different people. So then there's the person that like I learn from and who coaches me, and then there's like, my dad. And sometimes they are the same person, and other times I have to like remind myself that like, oh yeah, he has a ton of knowledge. I just need to like sit back and just listen to what he's saying. Whereas like with Miley, she hasn't quite reached that point yet where she realizes that you have a ton of knowledge, especially about catching, which is her primary position on the field. Um, so I think it's just dependent on um, your ability to be able to step back and just look at that as like, oh yeah, he is a great coach. He knows what he's doing. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to listen to him, even if sometimes I want to be like, oh, right, he's my dad. Like, I don't want to listen to him. Does that make sense?
I think it makes perfect sense, and it's exactly how I see it. And that's exactly why when we were flying out to visit Miley's team and train them, I said, Larry, you got to work with Miley.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what I did with a few of my kids on my other team. I mean, the parents were coaching them, and like I said, you're the voice of the dad or the mom as a disciplinarian. You don't hear him as a coach. And I'm saying the same thing that he was saying, but my voice is different than his dad's voice. He hears his dad as, go clean your room up, go do this, go do that. And then he hears me as, stay inside the ball, knob the ball, all that kind of stuff. And the same thing we're saying, but I'm saying it now and not him. And he took a lot better out of that one. So now, good things, good stuff.
Yeah. So, long story short, coaches, if you're dealing with this out there, all of us deal with it. There's a ways around it. And sometimes if she's totally not, if my daughter Miley is totally uncoachable, I just go to the other coach, tell them exactly what I'm seeing and exactly what I want them to communicate to her. They do it and she does it and she has success, and that's what I care about. I don't care if she knows that it's me that gave that feedback. I don't care one bit. What I care about is, are you doing the best you possibly can? And how do I add value to what you're doing?
Well, and that brings up a really good point. I think for parents who are coaching their children, it's really important for them, especially as someone who was coached by my parents at one point. It's really important for you to recognize that maybe your child's not going to be super perceptive. Um, and this kind of, or perceptive to what you're saying. And this kind of goes back into our conversation of like, as a parent, should you be on the field coaching or should you be coaching from the bleachers? And I think it's super important for parents to know that like your child, they're going to hear what you have to say and roll their eyes. Like it doesn't matter if you're the best coach in the world. It doesn't matter if, you're going to school to be a surgeon and your parent is the top surgeon in the world. You're not going to want to listen to them. And unfortunately, that's just because they were that person that was always there. And it's important for parents to recognize that. And just like you did, kind of trick your child if you do have information that's important for them. And like I saw you do that with Miley's catching coach. And when she had private lessons with her catching coach, the catching coach was saying exactly what you were saying to Miley, but Miley wasn't taking that and internalizing it and then starting to do it on the field until it was someone else telling her to do that. So I think that was just a super important point there.
And another thing too is like these you guys out there, your coaches out there that's coaching your kids at a young age, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You gotta remember it's a game. And when you're not making a game, when it's not a game for the kids to play and you're not having fun, that's when you're gonna get that resistance. And then it's just gonna be not fun for no one, not for you, not for your kiddos or the team. You just gotta realize it's a game, and you hear even the MLB say it's a game. And the best part is when the Little League World Series is going on, and they bring the MLB players to that game to watch these kids play. They're loving it because they have the best job in the world. They're playing baseball, and it's a game still. And when you take that game out of it, and you make it not very enjoyable, that's when you find the biggest tug of war with anything. So just make sure that you look at it still, even at the older age, it's a game. And yeah, you're trying to accomplish something, which we all are, and you want to teach them, but make sure that you still make it fun for them because it's a game.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. And what I would add to what Campbell was saying earlier is if you're on the field and you're coaching your kid, the absolute worst thing you could do is force feed them the information because you know it's good for them. I know it's good for you. You need to do this. And when you see that as a coach, it's tough because as a parent, like I said a minute ago, I want her to succeed. I want my kid to succeed at the highest level I know she's capable of. And I know what to tell her, what to show her, what to tell her, how to train her, how to do that. And when she doesn't listen, the first reaction of most parents is I'm the parent, I'm telling you what to do, or I'm the coach, I'm telling you what to do. And that doesn't work. And it may work on the field because you have some sort of control from parenting from that perspective. But the second your back is turned, they're thinking bad thoughts about it. They're not enjoying practice. They're probably going to try and quit the game because it's not enjoyable anymore, or they're going to ask you to not coach them anymore. There's all kinds of things that happen when you do that. The other thing Campbell said was, do I coach from the bleachers? And this is what I always tell. If you're on the bleachers, you're there to cheer. You're there to support. You're there to inspire. You're there to give hope. You're not there to coach. If you're on the field with the kids and your role is defined as a coach, you're there to coach. And if you make that clear distinction, your child will make that clear distinction, and you can still have a wonderful relationship. Now, is your kid after the game going to say, "How did I do this?" All that, of course, and you can do that then. But in the game, if you're in the bleachers, you're a cheerleader. You're inspiring hope. You're their biggest fan. That's your job, not to coach.
Well, like what we did when I was coaching, there was a 24-hour rule for parents after a game. No one talks to the coach 24 hours. Let stuff go by. Let the tempers, or if you're mad, upset, whatever it is, let it calm down for 24 hours. Then come talk to me. I always had open door policy. And with my kids, the same thing. Unlike you guys, I wasn't able to coach my kids in softball. They played volleyball and basketball in high school. So I was always that fan in the stands. And we get in the car, going away home on the road trips, whatever it may be. We never asked. I never talked about what happened in the game, unless they brought it up. But honestly, it was kind of a nice thing for them just to have their dad talk to them about other things besides what happened in the game, because they probably already heard it from their coach. They felt it in the game, and then they got to deal with you in the car. It's not good, because you're going to get the ones that get the feedback will be you with them, and you don't want that. You don't want to have that backlash. So I was always able to change that up with the girls, and have dinners or whatever we did, and talk about other things aside what happened in the game. But it's definitely easy to have that 24-hour away from the parents and from your kid and like that. And then if you wanted to talk about what happened or where it could be, then you can do it because everybody's calm, everybody's in a better state of mind. And usually they never come back and talk to you because they're now calmed down. So definitely, I think that 24-hour rule is a good thing to have.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. Well, and I think I'm in a really interesting position where, like, obviously I coach at the college level and none of my guys have their parents here. So, like, most of the time, I find myself trying to balance between, like, being that encouragement for them. And I even do this with, like, my 25s and my 35s, where I'm like, hey, I see you in practice. I know what you can do, and your body knows what to do. Like, you have the mechanics down. You're a great pitcher. You're a great outfielder. You know what you're doing. You're just going up to the plate and overthinking. So I just need you to, like, take a deep breath, because guess what? I believe in you. And then, like, actually this happened this past weekend with one of my guys where he just could not make contact. He kept striking out. He was 0 for 3 at this point, and he came up to me and he was just so frustrated with himself. And I was like, "Hey, Nano, it's okay. Just take a deep breath. I see you in practice. You're a great hitter. You can go up there and you can do it. And it's not like this pitcher is throwing anything fancy. I believe in you." And he just, you could see the relief on his face. And he was like, "Oh, thank you." And then he went up and he got a single.
Because he thinks that you're upset and you're mad, and you weren't. You gave him encouragement, which was good. I always made a joke out of it. I tell my batter, I got an idea. What's that? Hit the ball one time. No, make it a joke and get that pressure off him, because he's feeling the pressure. And when you're saying, "Hey, I know what you can do. You're a good hitter. You're fine. Relax." And then all of a sudden, boom, base hit. It's just that one bit of encouragement to get him going. And like I said, but I always made jokes and make him ease up a little bit more. So, but good job.
Yeah, I love that. And I always like to talk to him about the law of averages. I'm like, man, I know you just got out 3 times in a row, but last week you had 3 out of 4 hits, or you were 4 for 4. So it's just the law of averages coming back around, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you just keep doing your thing, you'll be fine.
that's what the sports bettors say too, Coach. But ain't nothing happens. They still lose.
Yes. Yes.
Um, okay, here's another question we can go into. Um, why do you think people are capable of changing so quickly when the right leader is involved?
I think we've been talking about it all night. It's
Yeah,
inspiration. I mean, think about a little kid learning to walk, right? The reason they can do it so quickly, and if you think about how complicated walking is, you know, I can't even tell you what muscles I use to walk, right? But I was inspired by the people around me who were encouraging me to walk and gave me feedback and clapping their hands and so excited, and it made it easier and easier. And that's what a coach really does, because if you when you inspire that, it becomes sort of like a lighted path, right? So right now as an athlete, sometimes I'm looking internally and I'm like, you know what, I'm 0 for 3. I'm letting my team down. I'm letting this down, what it is. And you're thinking about what am I doing? Is it this? Is this? Is it this? And then all of a sudden the coach breaks that up and says, you know what, you're fine. I know you got this. Here's the reasons why. And the next time you get up, you're probably going to get a hit, because that's how this works. This is a game. We're having fun. You're going to get a hit next time. And then he does. And all of a sudden, they see that lighted path and they're like, oh my God, this, whatever was just going on in my head, excuse me, whatever was going on in my head is just made up by me. That's not actual reality. That was just in my head. And here's my coach saying, no, it's not like that at all. It's really like this. And that little thing can absolutely inspire and make a change immediately. Immediately. And long-term change takes perfect practice. But short-term change can be inspired. This is why you see a team that has been mediocre all year suddenly take off and go all the way to the World Series. Because something or someone inspired them to believe just a little bit more in what they were doing. And sometimes that's all it takes. And that's short-term change. And you could see this in Rocktoberfest, right? You remember that when the Rockies just went crazy and won 22 straight games. And they only lost the World Series, I believe, because they had that long break between being absolutely on fire and playing the Red Sox. It was such a long break that everything sort of settled down, and now they were back to their regular temperament. And training changes that temperature. If you think about like a thermometer, if you're normally at 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can get a spike. Like if somebody comes in and inspires you, you get a motivational speaker, you get a mental strength training guy, whatever it is, you can go up to 70 degrees Fahrenheit just like that and have great results. Where you get long-lasting change is when you know that and you can manipulate that thermostat. And you could say, okay, we need it here, and here's this, and you do that through training and consistency and repetition.
Good stuff. Changing mindset. I mean, that kid's failing all the time, over and over and over again. And all of a sudden, I had a kid that I worked with in hitting wise, and he didn't get a lot of playing time in high school. He came and saw me, started working on a swing, changed his mindset that you can do this, you can do this, you can do that. And all of a sudden, we were taping his swing, and you looked at his first swing to his 8-week swing, and it was a different guy. And he just changed his mindset of, I can do this. What he's telling me is right, and I'm gonna get this going. Now he's playing college baseball now. So I mean, it's about what you think. Like Coach always says, it's between your ears and what you believe in, and what you're saying is right. And if you're always saying negative stuff, it's gonna be negative results. If you're positive results. And that's what it's all about. It's just changing that mindset that what we're doing, and that's how change happens. That's why I think if you grab a team and you change 3 kids, and all of a sudden it snowballs into 3 to 4, now 4 to 5, now the team's going to buy in. And that's how you make a change to the whole organization, the whole club. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about just touching those kids' lives and making sure that you're teaching them the right things, and they're seeing success. Like with you, I mean, you're now seeing success with your program at the college level. I mean, you're winning, and now the kids are your team is getting excited, and they're becoming one. And that's what we've been telling you to do, is you want them to become one in the program. And when you get that, you can go as far as you want to.
Agreed. Amen. I love it when you preach, brother.
Amen to that.
Good stuff.
And actually, going off of that, this is a perfect segue for my next question. How do you guys balance pushing someone or pushing your team towards change without just absolutely overwhelming them?
Running. No,
I love it, Coach. So that's a good one. It's actually becomes that pull, don't push, right? Because if I'm the leader of that organization, to change the culture, I have to change my perception of that culture. So it starts with me as the coach, or as a captain, or as a leader on the team. If I change my perception of that culture, I start to do things differently. And when I start to do things differently, it's like Coach said earlier, that starts to catch on. And when that starts to catch on, you start to win. But if I say, look, this culture needs to change, and I go punch Larry in the face, he's going to punch me back. You can't do that. And it's like running through water. the harder you run, the harder the force is back on you, no matter how hard you run. So it's the pull, don't push thing. It's the lead, don't push from behind or follow, right? You have to, as the captain, as the coach, as the leader, change your perception of that culture. And what I mean is entirely. So instead of looking at that team and seeing a poor culture, you're now looking at that team and seeing exactly the way you want it to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a canvas, and you make it the way you want to be. You're gonna have pull. It don't matter where you're at, how you're gonna do, whatever you're gonna be. You're gonna have that pull from that organization or that club, whatever it may be, for a time being. Not too long, because you're gonna put your own culture in there. They see how you come to practice. You're there early. You're grabbing the balls. You're getting the tees. You're getting the nets. Whatever it may be. All of a sudden, here comes that leader. Now he's there with you at that time. He's getting the balls. He's getting the net. That's what you expectation is. You don't grab the ball after practice. They do. They don't grab the nets. They do. You set them boundaries for those guys to learn what they're going to be doing. And that's how you're going to change that culture. But you will get that push. But you just got to lead by example and stay strong with it, and they will follow. I promise you, they will follow, and it will be 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then you have the whole team. So yeah, I mean, that's what the fun part about it is. It's a blank canvas, and you make it how you want it to be. And it's I've been coaching for a long time, and it don't matter if it's 8 and 9-year-old kids that they run around the whole little place with t-ball, or it's at the high school college level. They will all follow. They will all follow eventually.
I love that. I think that's great. I just have a question. Do you think in like a setting where you have um, very specific leaders, like for example, with my team, we have officers, do you think it's better to approach that as like I just start doing those things and they start showing up, or do you think that should be like a separate conversation with my officers and be like, hey, this is what I'm noticing. Um, this is what I think we need to implement. Can you help me as leaders on this team to do this?
Go ahead, coach. Over there, my dogs are fighting.
Okay. So that's a great question. And in this particular instance, because I'm familiar with it, what it takes is it's probably going to take a meeting of the minds. So it's probably going to take a situation where you come in and you say, hey, look, we talk a lot about culture. And what I've discovered is the only way it's going to change is if we change it in this room. So these leaders have to be the ones to make the change. And I would look every single one of them in the eye and I'd say, Heath, are you ready to change? You know, Dalton, are you ready to change? Noah, are you ready to change? Nano, are you ready to change? Whoever those leaders are. And then you only need one of the people who is not an officer, but a natural leader on the field. You only need one other buy-in. So once you have the buy-in of the officers, you need one other buy-in. The moment that natural leader buys in, it's seconds before the rest of the team is all committed to that culture.
Well said.
Yeah, I think that's super helpful. And thank you for that. But then I have one other question to add on to that. If you see someone on the field, for example, I have one kid in particular, um, who no matter how many times I've talked to him, he doesn't hustle. He's late to practice. He is constantly playing with his soccer ball during practice and not actually practicing. And I've had multiple conversations with him about how he's an upperclassman now and he needs to be a leader on this team. What's the best way to approach that? Because like in my experience, if one person is doing that, the entire team is going to start doing that. And I've seen it started to rub off on other people on the team. So what do you recommend I do with this person in particular?
Is he a starter?
No.
He's a bench player.
Yeah.
I just pull them aside and say, hey, X, you know, if things don't change, you can leave. If you want to play soccer, play soccer. That's good. If you want to play football, play football. This is basic practice. Leave the ball at home. And when you come to practice, I need you to do these things and set it out for them. Say, I need you to hustle. I need you to run to station, take ground balls, follow whatever you can do. You need to do it, and you need to do it quick because you're the only one out here that I'm seeing that's walking to these stations or not taking this seriously. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. You know, I can cut you and make it a lot easier for you. Just let me know what you want me to do. But I would give him a chance, and if he doesn't change, then you make the decision on, okay, you know what, this is not good for us. It's not good for you. It's not good for the program, and I think it'd be better for you just to just call it good for now. Thank you for coming out. Just be honest, because I mean, honestly, he does not want to be there. He's just there because maybe his friends or he has to, or whatever it be. But you can tell he don't want to be there because he's playing soccer. I know what you're talking about, kicking ball in net. And I would just tell him, be honest with him, say, hey, this ain't soccer practice. This is baseball practice. We need you here focused and getting better. If you don't want to do that, you can go home. That's fine. I'm not mad at you. It's all good.
The only thing I would add to what that's brilliant, Coach. The only thing I would add to that is use the sandwich method that Coach is always talking about. If you just come at him, he's going to come right back at you. It's like I said, if you punch him in the face, he's going to punch you back. But if you use the sandwich method, you come in there and you say, "Hey, I really enjoy having you here. We love having you as a part of this team, which is why you made it through cuts. Here's the areas we need to improve on. And if you can do that, we'd love to keep you around. But if you can't make a commitment to do that, then we're going to have to talk about what it looks like going forward. But because everybody else here is here to win a championship, and right now you're a distraction from that. And as the coach, I can't allow this to continue."
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I will definitely take all of those and make sure to implement that to my team.
And tell Cyrus we said hi.
I will.
And run.
Run. Run.
Okay, well, kind of coming off of that, how important do you think, or I guess when you're trying to inspire change in your team, how important do you think mindset is compared to like skill in creating quick transformation or in just creating transformation or change in general? Because like I see when you guys come into the club, and I actually really admired this. Larry and JT, they came in and they helped my guys with their hitting. And when they came in, Larry was like, "This is what I've done. This is what I've won. These are the places I've coached." And it was really inspiring to see that. And I know the guys immediately respected that. And Coach JT did the same thing. So how do you balance out like your skill on the field in creating that change and then like your mindset or coming in and being like, hey, these are the things I seeing we need to make these changes.
That's what we got. Let me get this coach fast.
Yeah.
We go in to help teams out, kids out, players out, our teams out, and we see things. And nothing's going to change overnight. It's not going to change overnight. It's a process. We're there to help them find out what they're doing and we give them our expertise on what we think you should do to get better. And if you do this, you will get better. I promise you that. And you're going to get a lot of pushback. Everywhere we went, from your program to even with the girls program, they're going to like, who are these guys? And they're telling me something different than my coach telling me or what I've learned my whole life. And the minute they get success, because when the minute they see something that's good happening, wow, they know what they're talking about. Wait, hang on a second. I hit that ball hard. Now it's going to the opposite field, and I'm not dipping. I'm driving it, and it's not weak no more. It's going hard. And Coach said after we done doing our drills with these kids, with the girls, he goes, let's play a game. and we did it. We split them all up into 3 groups of 5 in their teams, and they compete against each other in this game. And they had to hit in certain areas of the net and the cages, and you had a winner and a loser. But you saw the competitive juices started popping out a little bit more, and they started having fun and laughing and rising a little bit. And it was fun to watch it. But what we taught them girls previously, the previous hour and a half of working with them in drills, they started doing it in the cages during the game, and they started seeing success. And like we said, the next day they went and go play at a 4-year university, and they whipped them. And I'm not saying we had all to do with it, but I'm hoping that we had 3 or 4 of those girls listen to what we had to tell them, and they hit the ball hard off of that pitcher. And I think they did. And that's what's exciting about that. So, yes, we're going to get pushback until they see that what we're saying is good. But our program doesn't just stop the first week. It's going to go week 2, week 3, week 4, and all of a sudden they start seeing their swing from week 1 to week 4. Like, who is this? And that's happened to me in college. When I had my swing, I had a big, huge leg lift, and I was long and I was powerful. But they said, "Wait a minute, stop. We want you to go here to here to the zone." And I started going really short and quick. And I can't remember now how my swing was back when I first got to college to now. And it's just that muscle memory. But yes, those kids, the girls, the boys, our program, they will get change, and they will see the change. And the best thing we have is video. And they're going to see that video from day 1 to day 360. And they're going to say, wow, look how much he grew from here to here. And that's what's exciting about that. Am I off topic there? Was I good there? I don't know. I feel like I was going off everywhere on that one.
No, I think it was perfect.
Yeah, it was perfect. And the only thing I would add to that is the mindset creates immediate change, right? It's just not permanent because all you did was change your mind for a minute. If when you are training the skill, you're actually training the mindset too, right? So as you train this, so you need both. You can't have super motivation and no skills training, because then you have motivated idiots, right? And you can't have no motivation and skills training, because then you have people who are just going through the motions, who don't believe in what they're actually doing and can't get it done. And they will make progress because they're working at it, but they're only going to make small progress over a long period of time. And most people, it's in our nature as humans, if we don't see progress right out the gate, we don't keep doing it. Right? So we'll quit. So no matter how brilliant we were we are when we go in with the team and we help them, it doesn't matter if that doesn't create lasting change. Like, a coach doesn't want to pay me every week to come in and do this, right? So we have to come in there, change the mindset, increase their belief enough that they start doing the drills. And then it's not actually what we did, but what they do over the next 7 days, 14 days, 28 days. That's where the change happens. That's where the change happens. And Coach mentioned it earlier, where we're talking about muscle memory at this point. If you do something once, there's no muscle memory. If you do it 7 times, there's still no muscle memory. It's just starting. It's like training wheels. 14 days, you're starting to have some muscle memory. 21 days, more muscle memory. 28 days, more muscle memory. Now it's a habit. And once it's a habit, your average raises, your competitive ability, your skill level, everything starts changing. So as a coach, our job is to inspire those guys or those girls until they get to that day.
Got a high five there, Coach. Good job.
Yeah, what is that about? I keep getting this hand up.
High five, man. High five.
Yeah.
No,
I'm just so excited. High five, AI.
you nailed it. And like you said, I mean, we're leaders, and we lead our team in the right direction. And when they do it the right way, it's awesome. And they get excited, we get excited, everybody gets excited. So 100%. But If they don't believe in what we're saying, they're gonna push it, and nothing's gonna change. So we have to lead that way, and just give them ways to, like you said, sandwich it up to make us believe that we're saying is right. And when they believe in that, it's all good.
Yeah. And the challenge with those is if you have those guys, and as a coach, and I'm just talking to you as a coach, you'll have those guys that are pessimists that are like, no, this ain't gonna work, and they do kind of do it, not really mentally there, so they don't see progress, and they say, "See, coach, it doesn't work."
I love that. I love those players. Bring it on. Bring it on. Bring it on. I love it because you know what? I had one of those kids before, and the dad, and they had their own little regiment and their own little thing, and we're in a hot southern state, and I look over to the right, and he's in a bullpen throwing a full bullpen before he pitched on Saturday, and this is Thursday. And I was like, what is he doing? So I went and talked to him, kind of, hey, what's going on? And he's throwing in 2 days, right? And he's like, yeah, but it's what we do. We get a bullpen in before he pitches. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's a parent, and I'm like, okay. And we went through Friday, we won, and then we go through Saturday. He had a pitch, and I'm watching him throw, and he's laboring, and it's hot, coach. It's hot. It's 90 degrees with humidity, and I went to talk to his dad, and his dad goes, we could do this in Colorado. I go, we're not in Colorado, we're in Florida, and it's hotter and it's humid, and he is gassing, and he didn't make it through 3 innings, and I was like, you can't do things over here that worked when you're 11 and 12 because now your kid's getting older and it's further, and the distance is further, and you're throwing harder, and just everything's getting used so much more, and you just gotta talk to them guys, but I know what you're saying, because he's like, I told you he could do this and this and that, and he couldn't do it, and then I'm like, yeah, we saw what happened. But I love those kids. Bring them on, because you know what? When you change those kids' lives and you switch them over to the other end, it's awesome, because they lay forever.
They end up being your biggest advocates. They
Exactly.
changed everything with me.
Exactly. 100%.
How do you change those kids? Because I know, like, with a lot of people like that with their mindsets, do you just wait for something like that to happen where you're like, see, this is what happens. I know what I'm talking about. Or, like, how do you approach that?
With patience and persistence, and you keep doing this. I know you don't believe in it now. That's okay. I do. I believe in it for you, and I've seen your swing. I know what you're capable of, and you continue to encourage them. And you just every time you see them, good job, great job. You're making progress. Let's keep working. All this stuff, and eventually they buy in. And it's the whole crowd or herd mentality, right? If everybody else is buying in, I can't be the one left out not buying in because everybody else is hitting now all of a sudden, and I'm not. No, they can't do that.
And it's so hard because we're dealing with our kids, high school kids that are playing freshmen, the JV, now the varsity, and they're facing guys that are throwing 80 miles an hour at the freshman JV level. And then all of a sudden, now you go to varsity, now you're facing 85, 86, 87 on a consistent basis, especially in 5A, 6A. So the swing that they were doing before, they may have success doing it because it was a slower pitcher. Now you're going to a varsity level pitcher and you're missing it. And they're like, oh, I did really well the last 2 years. Yeah, where'd you play at? And what division did you play at? Because you're not seeing those same pitchers up here now. You're seeing a little more velocity, a little bit different curveball, fastball, changeup, all that stuff. And trust me, he fought me on that one too, on his swing. And like Coach said, just keep on believing what you're saying is right, persistent with them. When they're in the BP and they're doing their old ways, you find that hole and you keep in that hole because they can't hit it. Keep on doing it and keep on doing it, and he's not getting success. Then he's gonna get upset and like, what's going on? Well, go back this way now, and now swing the bat. See what happens. All of a sudden, he hits it, and you just keep on doing that. Like I said, as a coach, you just find that little bit and you just go with it, and you find out that one that swing he swings on, and you put that ball where that bat's going to be at, and he hits it, and now he's getting excited, and now he's driving it. Now you got him. Now he bought it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like it happens overnight. It's like the Beatles' success, right? It seems like they were success overnight, but they were years in the clubs, in the pubs playing before they had that success. Well, coach, you're on the field working with this kid for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. And then all
yeah,
of a sudden he starts having success. And it seems like it was overnight, but really it was all those little things you did leading up to that that ended up creating that massive success.
those breadcrumbs. Yep, exactly.
Um, Very cool. I think that's all really interesting information, and I think it's good information. I just have one more question for y'all. Um, if you could give one piece of advice to a new coach about creating this impact or about creating change, what would that be? Like, if you were talking to a new coach, so like me, I mean, I'm a relatively new coach. What's like one major piece of advice that you would give me for impacting my team or creating that change on my team?
That's a great one. I'll start. I know Larry has some good opinions on this, but what I would say is connect personally with each and every member of that team. And you have to do it personally and separately and away from baseball. So you don't necessarily have to be off the practice field, but you connect with them in ways that, you know, not just superficially asking, hey, how are you doing? You know, everybody asks that and there's always an automatic response. And just it's when you show up and you say, hey, Cyrus, I remember you were talking about this test last week. How'd that go? Da, 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 da. When you connect personally, now they start to trust you and buy the other thing. So when you connect with them personally, once you do that, you can be saying stupid stuff on the field and still make a difference in their lives. Okay. You don't have to be the best skills coach. You don't have to know how to fix somebody's swing in 5 minutes like Larry and I do. But if you connect personally with each and every one of those athletes, you will change their life. There's no way around it.
Yeah, because that brings trust into the team, trust on them to you. Um, just know your players. That's one thing. Know your players. Know what they're going through. I mean, you're starting a new program. Um, you have your philosophies. You have your ways of coaching, and just every kid's different. Remember that every kid is different, and every kid learns different ways. And just know your team. Once you know your team and how they go and how what makes them tick and what makes them successful, and then you got it. And make it fun. Make it. Like Coach said, we after I practiced with the girls, we had a game with them, and it was fun for them to compete. So it not always got to be baseball thinking. Like I say, you can go bowling with them. You can take them to the lake or the ocean with my kids. Just a lot of stuff you can do outside of baseball to make them trust you and what you're doing is right.
Team barbecue. And
Yeah,
I would say, um, if you can do it without alcohol, it's even better.
yeah. Oh, our kids are alcohol free, but yeah, it's 100%.
Yes.
100%.
We're talking to older 21-year-old college kids, just so you know,
Yeah.
audience. If you can do it without alcohol, it's better.
Good stuff. Good
Awesome.
stuff today.
Yeah, thank you guys. So we have about 10 minutes left. Is there anything, Coach Larry or Coach JT, that you would like to add to this conversation or you think we missed, or just anything that popped up during this conversation that you think is important for the listeners?
Yeah, I do. That's not about what we did about today, but just the guys we have coming on as our speakers coming up in the next couple weeks. Leaky McVicker, pitcher, Ohio State, Coach Frank Gonzalez for the Rockies, Matt Bryant. He's a parent, but also a real estate agent inside the Denver area that has a daughter that goes to Clemson. That he wants to talk about what's going on with Clemson athletics and how they're doing their things, and and with the AI, or not AI, with the NIL money and how that all plays out. And so I'm look forward to having some great conversations with those three, and even more along the way. But I think what we're doing here is awesome, very valuable. Everybody, we're just two coaches that love the game, three coaches that love the game, and we've been around from a lot of places, from softball to baseball to college to the pros, to a lot of stuff that we've done and seen. And not everything we're going to say is right for you guys, but we just want to touch just a little bit of our knowledge, what we've done and what we've gone through, and try to help you guys out to become better coaches on your end, and vice versa. Let us know what's going on with your guys' coach's career, and talk to us about what we can do to get better too as well, because we're always learning this game. This game's the best game in the world, and we're always learning something new every single day. So that's my little soapbox for tonight. But yeah, I'm loving this. I mean, it's awesome.
Well, yeah, you bring up a good point. So we're going to change the format just a little bit. We're going to start recording these podcasts with guests because we love that. That'll be not a live call on Monday night, but a replay that you can go and see. And you can go in there and ask questions that we'll field on Wednesday live. So Monday night's call is going to slowly transition into pre-recorded interviews with these experts and these coaches and sideline reporters and all kinds of stuff that we'll have up there. And then on Wednesday nights, that's still going to be live with us, but we're going to be answering the questions that you come up with after watching and listening to that podcast.
Love it.
Did I hit the nail on the head there, Campbell?
I think you did. And like Coach Larry said and Coach JT said, just make sure that you're sending in those questions, because we have so much to learn from you guys. And I mean, I'm learning every day from Coach Larry and Coach JT, and even from some of my own guys out on the field. So send in those questions. We love to answer them. And yeah, thank you guys so much for this call. It was a really great conversation this week. Do you have anything else to add?
The only thing I would add is thank you. You were wonderful as always, Campbell. Coach Larry, you got on your soapbox again today. I love it when you're preaching. It's like going to church every Monday and Wednesday. I love it. And I'm excited. I'm excited about how this community is growing, the things that we're doing, the changes that are coming to the pack. And I would say anybody listening, if you like what you're hearing, reach out to us and see how you can join the pack, because we're not doing this to become rich and famous. We're doing this to change the world, and that's not lip service.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Great night. We'll see you on Monday.
Thank you.
Thank you.